Hello there. Well, obviously, I'm going to talk about the what I guess it's the sixth episode. I'm not sure of The Last of Us series um video game adaptation of HBO. Anyway, maybe as you can already tell, I'm not so happy about this episode. And I like I don't know this show uh, like this show started off as a promising adaptation and a TV show. However, I just think that it's a mediocre show, and I am almost 80% sure that it's gonna end as a mediocre show. This peculiar episode had the capacity to be like one of the best episodes of this TV series adaptation, but it just failed miserably in my opinion. Like it's not too bad, but it's mediocre. Let's say that it's mediocre. I cannot go to length to say that it's bad. That I don't know if that would be a fair adjective to use, but I just think that it doesn't live up to the like bar set by the video game. Like this is just a cliche. Like it's going in the way of becoming a just like fucking cliche TV show. Like that's not my Last of Us. Like and like that specific phrase might trigger some people and make them tell me to like go fucking play the game then. And my answer to them is I've just played the fucking game again, and it was brilliant. And I'm gonna watch this show, continue watching this show just to see what they have done with my like one of my favorite video games, and comment on it, criticize it. That's fucking fine. Like I don't understand people. Like there's a fucking toxic positivity out there, especially in Reddit. Like everyone has to be like think that everything is perfect when it comes to like this kind of a media. Especially The Last of Us subreddit is so fucking sensitive because of the whole process the part two brought. But there are fucking nuances. Like did, did like criticizing the uh, parts of the show that fall short is not the same thing with going crazy, spoiler alert, when Joel died. That's whole another thing. This is whole another thing. Anyway, let's begin talking about the scenes of this episode. Well, the beginning part was fine. It was kind of like I want to say great, but not the whole thing wasn't great. But this couple was a great addition. Like I have told this many times before, but what I like about The Last of Us is that it's really about humanity. It's in the core. It's something about life, and this kind of an edition just feeds that core, mm, like takes advantage of it, turns it into something beautiful. Like takes the wind behind and just goes full sail. I like this. I wish I wish this whole show was about this kind of side stories, side details about that universe. I would love that. I think that the third episode of the show was the best one when it came out, and I still think that it's the best episode of this show so far because it's just a well-crafted side story about this universe, and it's about humanity. And it was really brilliant. Like it was really fun to enjoy it. Anyway, anyway, I'm gonna hold my horses because we have a long ride ahead. Just someone. What? I cannot see my screen fully because of the camera. Just someone passing through. Well, that was amateur. Anyway, I don't like the way they changed Joel, the character. By the way, whatever you criticism you hear from my mouth, they are directed towards the characters, the creation of the characters. They are not like about acting or like so far I didn't feel any kind of a shortcoming on the side of the actors. I think they are doing a good job, but I am mostly about writing, and I think the writing is not as good as it was in the game, and its execution also too. I think I have to move the camera because I cannot see the subtitles, and they are important for me. How about this? This I think this works, and I also can see the subtitles. Yeah, a very dynamic video. I am not gonna cut these parts. This is just life, and Last of Us is about life. As I said, I like this couple. I like the dialogues here, but that not the whole thing. But for example, the Ellie here is just takes things too lightly. I mean, the Ellie in the video game also, like, she she has the necessary seriousness. She understands, like, the context, the seriousness of the context. By the way, if you can hear the music in the background, it's from the soundtrack of The Last of Us Part Two. It's what you're hearing right now is one of my favorite songs from that soundtrack. I don't think that we will have problems with copyright. I will include the name of the song in the description, etc. And also, it's like official soundtrack of The Last of Us. Anyway, just enjoy it. I really like it. Okay, I don't even know why I am talking about it right now. Anyway, there. I'm not just gonna like rant about the scene. It's just not good. Like, this is a fucking game. Come on. Like, of course, okay, I know that these people are old, but like, maybe we should treat things more seriously. And maybe this strikes some of you as unrealistic, but it shouldn't. Someone, a person, can be both sarcastic and mature at the same time. Trust me. The original Ellie just perfectly fits that description. That's why we loved her. That's why she felt original. They I mean, there may be two reasons why they turned Joel into this guy who is about like who acts like he's about to die. One reason is that they uh, have foreseen like the possibility of this show being renewed for a second season, and it's renewed for a second season. And since the time gap between the two seasons will not be as long as it was between the part one and the part two, I'm talking about video games, they wanted to like make Joel closer to his position in the part two, like his composition, like as a character. But I also don't think that this Joel is like, I don't think the vulnerability, the way this show perceives vulnerability is accurate, an accurate representation of the vulnerability of Joel. Joel is like, some people are saying that Pedro Pascal is portraying Joel, who's the vulnerable side of which is more on the surface. Guys, the original Joel is vulnerable enough in a nuanced way. He's like, even though it's not too obvious, like no one inserts their finger into your eye, it's obvious that he's scared of getting too attached to Ellie because of what happened with Sarah. And you get like you get that feeling, and the climax moment of that feeling would take place in this episode, but they changed Joel's motivation, and now that scene doesn't have that much weight. And I am ranting again, and I forgot the starting, like starting of my argument. Anyway, I was talking about why they like take took Joel, push Joel closer to his composition in part two. It's either because they're scared of the, like, maybe HBO is scared of the backlash part two may get, but I'm not so sure about that, since but they made Game of Thrones and there were like controversial decisions in that TV show, I guess. But since like this is not originally a TV show and it already has a fan base, maybe they are unlike what they have. Actually, Game of Thrones is also an adaptation. Anyway, but I still think that Last of Us is a peculiar example in that regard, and it may, like the part two may somehow. Spoiler alert: the death of Joel in part two may still get some sort of a backlash. But anyway, that may be one of the reasons, and the other possible reason is that they are shortening the gap between part one and part two. They don't want to recast an Ellie because if they were to like jump 10 years ahead, they would have to recast Bella Ramsey. And I think that maybe that would be the right decision. Not to pick Bella Ramsey in the first place, also a maybe a younger actress, then a shift to a lookalike actress in this part two. But they would have to think about this like way before they were to cast characters. Like, I think they would have to create a pathway before they even started shooting the first season. They had to have that plan, but I guess they didn't, and they went with the more feasible and viable option. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on this too much. I just don't like to see this kind of a shallow vulnerability. Like I don't know what to say. Bella the I think Bella Ramsey does a good job at transferring the like portraying the anxious Ellie. But they are putting this out from a kind of a selfish perspective. Of course, this would maybe this is what you would expect from a kid of this age, but also the lines of Ellie, the original Ellie, had this tinge to them, but they were placed at a sweet spot, and that like they were kind of targeted lines to motivate Joel. They as it was as if Ellie was playing the fatherly part of Joel to kind of motivate him to get up and survive, like keep on and survive, endure and survive. Anyway, but like these are not too bad. Anyway, again, Joel is like a weak guy. He falls asleep, etc. I like this peculiar small dialogue because I think that it feels natural, and it's almost like a Seinfeld. You could hear this in a Seinfeld episode. It's a very well observation about life. It almost contains, I guess, wisdom. I think. Um, like, why do they call it dressing? It's more like undressing, thinking about the process, etc. This scene was like, get behind me. Is like Joel saying, get behind me, as if he's not surrounded by these people. And also, like the tension build up in the scene was so lazy. The dog goes then starts fucking licking Ellie. I'm not buying this shit. Just don't give me this crap. Just be fucking original, man. We don't need this kind of scenes. I don't want fake tension build up. And one other thing is that just to like make the scene more attractive, maybe they decided to give both Joel and Ellie uh, a horse to each. Like, were these patrol guys going around with two spare horses? Because like no one is mounted on an or, like no two like no horse has two persons mounted on them. Each one has a single horse. This is so like it's just unrealistic. I'm not gonna to like exaggerate it, but I'm not happy about this episode. Not a single bit. But I kind of like the scene. The whole Tommy thing, it was nice. It was nice. I hated this scene. I just hate this scene. Like, it's so off the mark. It just misses the point. Joel is like, thank you, man. Thank you for saving our asses. Thank you for giving food. Like, I'm like, this is not Joel. Sorry, I'm sorry. Let's mind our manners. And Ellie's like a straight jerk. Why? These people are not your enemy. Some could uh, argue against my words by saying that, oh, you forgot how she reacted to Bill, in the video game? No, I didn't. And like, Bill handcuffed her in the video game. That's like, hand. I'm so anxious. I know why. Like, I have so much energy, or I don't know how to express it. I am stirred. I am moved. Anyway, it's not the same thing. These people are just trying to help them, and like it's not even subtle. With Bill, it was different. I am talking about video game. Anyway, like she's so rude. That's not Ellie. Like Ellie is a hard kid, of course, but she's not a jerk. This like the character here is a cliche Hollywood kid. Like, what happened to my Ellie? It's just what a waste. What's wrong with you? What about her man? It's Joel that says what's wrong with you. Right? Maybe. Well, maybe I'll teach them. And I want my gun back. Like, calm the. Showrunners cursed me. This is not a weird line for Joel, and like this is also another weird line for Tommy. That's I think not as only a character but as a person. Tommy acts the right way in the scene, in my opinion, and he acts like Tommy. However, I would expect Maria to like if I'm comparing her to her video game counterpart. I would expect her to like let me give you some private space. She wouldn't sit there and wait like acknowledge me, you bitch. Like this is her acknowledge me, you bitch face. And like I don't like this dynamic between Ellie and Joel. Like yeah. I like the joke in this scene, like we are living a commune life, so like communists, etc. This scene could be good, but it went bad, I think. What Tommy says, I'm I'm on the side of Tommy here because they fucked up with Joel's character. I feel like I would be a good dad. Guess we will find out. Like this is not too much of an asshole answer, but it's not a good answer. And I think the reaction of Tommy is just okay. Like it's not weird. However, the way Joel acts, like, oh, we will grab some supplies and be out of here in the morning. Like, uh, like, um, he's so oversensitive. What the fuck? This is not Joel. Again, another panic attack. I like this scene because it feels realistic. I mean, that's definitely something would happen in that world, and it's so human. But like, is this the only thing positive about this show? Are we like down to this? We are done with the plot and whatever. That's just said. I wish the other parts like lived up, uh, lived up to the expectations. Just I'm tired. Again, Ellie being a straight jerk. Well, maybe I'm smarter than Tommy. Maybe you're not. Joel is like, I am weak, man. I'm not good at shit, man. I'm gonna fail Ellie, man. I'm having panic attacks, man. I am fearful, man. My heart is about to stop, man. I'm just gonna get her killed, man. I have to leave her, man. Like, give me a break, Joel. Like, this scene, the counterpart of this scene from the video game was one of my favorite scenes in the whole video game. In the whole part, in the whole of Last of Us Part 1. But even though they didn't change it dramatically, they changed the way it is set up and some of the words in the lines, and it now this scene just feels off. If you were to watch the interviews made with Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker, they talk about the scene and they say that for some reason it just didn't feel on spot and they had to like get multiple takes of it, doing it over and over again. And at some part, Ashley Johnson kind of improvised a bit, made that physical gesture. I don't know uh, if there are like impromptu lines in there, but with that improvised performance made the scene perfect. And I think this scene, the counterpart of this scene from the video game, was just on spot, just perfect. Any deviation, it would it would be really hard to find devise a deviation that would make the scene better. And the deviations made in the TV show didn't make the scene better, and the setup just destroyed it for me. It's just what a waste. I'm just gonna say what a waste. Also, Joel is like a jerk, not because of this scene, but we'll get there in a second. Here, he's like, "You deserve a choice," as if like Joel's the Joel here is trying to give an impression as if he's giving Ellie a choice. You didn't give her a choice in the first place, and you already know her choice, and now you're acting like you're giving her a choice. In the video game, Joel doesn't like do this performative shit. At first, he is like he like that Joel has a nuanced vulnerability, a layered vulnerability, which is not like which does not protrude your eye, but you just sense it, you feel it. It's transferred in a subtle way, but in a strong way. Like he's just scared of going through the same things that happened with Sarah. And I think that's a strong motivation. But this, hmm, I prefer the other one. Anyway, the Joel there, after a like fighting sequence, makes up his mind after traveling from the where Ellie fled to back to Jackson. He makes up his mind and just tells Tommy that uh, I'm gonna Ellie will be with me, and he doesn't elaborate. And like since he already knows Ellie's decision there, that's that for me even though not fully compensates to some extent compensates for his rash behavior back in the that house. Like it doesn't have to compensate or anything, but I think you get me. This is just not good. I didn't like the dialogues here. It's it feels so Hollywoodish, just cliche. And by the way, the whole episode feels rushed. This university uh, like section felt so rushed for me. This small action, I don't know if you call it an action scene, but with the like dynamic camera and all that, it didn't. It felt cheap for me. It did strike me as a like cheap scene for some reason. Joel fights one of the guys, and from his first fight, he gets stabbed. I don't know how they are going to like pull off the ending scene of part one, where like Joel goes apeshit crazy and like destroys almost around 25 military guys, well, only by himself. I don't think the Joel we have seen so far would be capable of doing that. And also, okay, like the way things take place in the video game could be unrealistic in real life. Joel falling on a like metal metal bar and surviving. Maybe that's unrealistic, but that's just more striking. And the scene that follows that what to call it mishap maybe that's the part that follows that mishap. The tension in that scene was just brilliant in the video game. Since I recently played it, my memory is quite fresh. Anyway, what a waste. And um, praise Bella Ramsey's acting, but again, my problem with the lines, I don't know. Maybe I'm unfair. I'm being unfair on that part. But why did they use a fucking fake horse in the scene? We have seen real ones already in the sequence. But now, why did they use a fake one? And it's so obvious that it's fake that the way its leg stays there without moving for like this scene lasts around 7 around 7 seconds, and it's enough for the viewer to like realize that the horse is fake, and it just breaks the immersion. I don't know. I couldn't make sense of it. Anyway, this was the last still from this episode. I'm not gonna like in the previous video I said that I am not excited for the next episode, but I am looking forward to it. Now I am not even looking forward to it. I'm gonna watch it, but at the moment there is like I am only curious about the final episode. The part where Joel goes apeshit crazy and them turning back to Jackson together. And the like that small sequence between Joel and Ellie in like where Ellie is skeptical about what happened with the fireflies. Anyway, that's it for this one. Hope to see you in the next. Take care.